Hello, goddess. I am whew, in a space of recording videos today. So you're going to see me in this outfit in another video I just recorded about a yoni wand and what I actually use them for more often than what their intended purpose are for. So check that video out. But I wanted to share with you one of my newest crystal collections. It's a first for me, but there's something that I've done that's very, very, very sacred and very special. So I always wanted a crystal ball. In fact, when I did my first personal self-improvement seminar, it was a 3-day event. And oh my goodness, these were like 12-hour days. And you went home with homework that you had to do. But it was awesome. And during this event, I learned one of the most powerful practices called the workshop of the mind. And in this practice, this visualization, you actually create for yourself a workshop in your mind that you can visit. They tried to create it with an elevator. I don't do elevators. I'm a genie. So I genie up to my workshop. I'm supposed to be magical as fuck. Why do I need an elevator in my mind? No, snap, I'm there. And then you create for yourself the different rooms, your healing room, your knowledge room, or your library. And that's how I created it. It was a healing room, a knowledge room, but my knowledge room wasn't a library. What was fascinating, because when you do visualizations and you surrender to it, wow, the magic that is revealed. So my knowledge room is my favorite room in my workshop. And it actually is a forest. Oh yes, a forest in my mind. And in this forest lives my Pegasus. Yes. You see, when I was a little girl, I always wanted to escape. And so I had a Pegasus. And that's how I definitely learned astral projection and such, because I was seldom home back then during those hours you were supposed to be asleep. Yeah, no. So yeah, and a fairy. I have a fairy. And where's my knowledge? A crystal ball. And recently, I manifested my crystal ball in real life. Now, I actually manifested this year, this is 2021, I manifested this year finally going down to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, because they had it later in the year because of the nonsense going on. If you know the truth, you know the truth. You know it's all nonsense. And I got to go down there not once, but twice. I got to go down there twice. And the first time I went, I actually found, this is actually a charcoal, it's an incense burner. Let me set my sphere down there. And here is this lid that actually goes on this. And then you burn resin, or there's even an incense holder, a stick holder that you can set inside here. However, when I went back the second day at the end of that first week, and walking around again with my soul sister of mine that I met up with again, because I was bringing her back up to the Phoenix Valley to the airport. She stayed down there for the week with her twin flame. And I found for my first time ever, like I said, this is a clear quartz sphere. I've never had this before. And what is so cool to me that I like, because it amplifies the fragility that is still this world, this existence. She explained to me, because I was so drawn to this, there's a crack in this. And it's not necessarily a crack, it's just a weak point, a perceivably weak point. That if this were to drop, she said it could potentially definitely break. Of course, if you drop this on a hard surface, it's going to break. It's just, most often how it works. but I was so drawn. Like, I saw it, like, illuminating, like, radiating out of this container. And I just picked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, like, Well, then it hit me because I didn't want to dirty this puppy up with my charcoal, because I really wanted to be able to have a charcoal burning piece that I could actually set, you know, my sage on, and get resin. That was my intention. And I just loved how it would go through the little holes on this. See? Yet, when I saw this, and I was like, oh, I'm betting. And so it was at the exact same show that I had gone to, that we went to my first day, because I got this ring, my malachite ring, my first ring, and then I wanted to go back and see more from the same vendor, and I got my moonstone, my goddess ring. So that's also where I got this, which you can come to find out, you can find these on Amazon, just so you know. It's what is it called? Gee, I'm not even sure. But charcoal, resin, incense, burner, along those lines. Okay, holder, something like that. Because I did find it. I was looking for something else, I think. So I was like, oh my God, let me go get another one of these, and then I could put this. I'm betting this will fit in this, because I'm a creative and normally I'm damn good at eyeballing something and go, oh yeah, that'll fit. Nope, it won't. Yes, it will. This was the only one that they had left in this color. The others were copper, or they were yellow gold, very bright gold. This is more that antique gold, definitely more subtle. So I couldn't get that second one, and I'm like, that's okay. I got home and I realized it fit, but required a minor modification, which is to put something, a cushion in here. So I've got something to show you. So I was like, what am I going to, I want something that's very sacred, right? Because you want to honor this. I mean, this is, both of these pieces, so sacred. When I knew this was mine when I saw it. And he couldn't find any other boxes of it. So he literally had to take one of the other ones out of a box to put this in a box for me. So I was like, I want some kind of fabric that's sacred. So you better believe this piece, this pastel pink fabric in here is very sacred. It's very special. To amplify with love, this, which is very sacred and very special. So that pink fabric are from 2 special little blankets. This, which was very cool because I thought of this almost off the bat. This, they're like Pegasus, just with invisible wings. I didn't even remember. So what are these 2 blankets about? Years ago, what, 6 years ago now almost? Actually, almost 7 years ago, was the last time I got in trouble, you could say, for choosing to do what I wanted to do with my own body. That's what I say. And everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why I stepped back into the business, because I needed to be taken down the path that I needed to be taken down. To meet 4 precious little lives: Cleopatra Devi, Theodore Maxwell, Neja Monet, and my little RJ Rascal Jasper. See? So I ended up volunteering for a kitty rescue for my time served, for making an adult choice all my own. Thank you. I digress. 4 of my spirit guides were incarnated as a litter of kittens. And they became my first litter of foster babies. And it happened at least a year after I was with the rescue. And I knew they were mine the moment I saw them. And I got to take them home the next day at 5 weeks old. I was supposed to only be allowed to keep 2, yet 8 weeks later, when they went in for their spay, neuter, and to be tested, to be prepared to put up for adoption, I got a call from the rescue director, which is very unique because as fosters, those of you who may foster with a rescue, you understand that normally how that works is it's the foster's responsibility to transport the animals to and from the vet, make those arrangements and such until such time that that animal becomes adopted or is placed into a facility where it's being presented to be adopted. So to receive a call from the rescue director is not normally a good thing. Now, I was only originally going to be allowed to keep 2, and there were 4. And that week was one of the most excruciating weeks ever of having them, because I knew based on their relationships that I could not separate. I couldn't keep the 2 I wanted to keep, is what I'm saying. I couldn't keep Cleo and Theo because RJ needed her brother. I have pictures. I have a shadow box I'm looking at right here that I made of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different photos that I have printed in this shadow box, and they only made it to 10 months old. These 2, RJ and Theodore, where she's holding on to him or he's got a hold of her, because she was the runt. She was so little. She was my little munchkin love. I mean, she would nurse on me. I remember she'd get me drenched. Bless her little heart. But I knew I couldn't split them up. So it was so challenging for me because I probably was going to have to let Cleopatra go because she was the stronger one. And Munchkin Love, she had become a part of me. She needed so much attention and so much support. Poor little thing. She was leaking out of every orifice possible, from her eyeballs to her little butthole. That poor baby. But you would have never known she was sick after a couple months with me. But that was tough that week. So as she and I sat there, because she wasn't big enough to go in for her spay and test for at least another 2 to 3 weeks, which by then we didn't need to test her, because when I picked up that phone, knowing that Cleo, Theo, and Neja were at the vet getting spayed, neutered, and tested for FELV, FIV, and such, the director says to me, she asks me, "Are you sitting down?" I mean, I was sitting down working on a project of mine in my former creative business that I did, and I had a little Munchkin Love on my lap. She was a part of me. Like, she was like, I could stand up and hold her with one hand and grab whatever tool I needed that I was creating with and sit back down, and she would be unfazed, right? Like any newborn child, right? They're just a part of you. And I'm thinking, why are you asking me that? But yeah, I'm sitting down. She says, "Well, we'll do everything we can. We'll work our network. We'll find them homes." And I'm thinking, what's wrong with my babies? And then she tells me that they've tested, all 3 of them have tested positive for the feline leukemia virus. And the teaching, the understanding at this point is that they then cannot be with other cats. Yet I'm here to tell you, yeah, no. My two older ones, here we are, 3 years now, 4 years, and they're still perfectly healthy, and they loved those babies so much. They loved those babies so much, and mine are, like I said, they're healthy, but they came from really wild upbringings, okay, before they came to be my babies. So they have very strong immune systems, let's just say that. But when I hung up with her, I was thinking, why do they need to go anywhere then? I'm a foster. Because she said that we had someone else in the rescue who had the one other FELV in the group. And I sat there and I talked it through, and I called my friend who I had arranged to become the bottle feeder, from whom I actually then took in these 4, because they ended up not being bottle feeders. They did not. They knew life was short. So at 5 weeks old, they wanted the saucer. They're like, no, I am not a baby. I got life to live. I ain't got time to sit there and suck on a bottle. Just let me eat it and go. Let me drive by. Okay. Seriously. That's all they were. And so I called her and I talked, and I'd say to her, I'm like, but wait a minute, it doesn't make sense. Why would they even leave this house? Why would they need to go anywhere else? If I'm a foster and this is the house they've known, why couldn't they just stay with me? So I was like, oh my God, that's when it, again, when you hold that space for yourself and you allow yourself to process this stuff instead of just sitting in that ick, right? Where you just want to sit there and you just want to focus on the problem, on the problem, on the problem. Yet I know for me, I'm that person, I just need to talk it out normally. And I tend to talk myself right through to the other side. That breakdown to break through. And I say to her, oh my God, why can't they? So she's like, okay, call Carrie, because that was my rescue director's name, call Carrie. So I called her up and I was like, wait a minute. Well, why can't I just keep them? Why can't they just stay with me? And she says, and I quote, you want to keep them? Of course I do. They're my baby loves. There was so much love in my home when they were in my home. I grew up on a farm, y'all. Never in my life have I known 4 kittens that were so human-like, that were so powerful and profound in their energetic presence as these 4. Never in my life, never. Nope, not at all. They were specifically sent for me to experience the transition, the embracing that which we call death and perceive to be the end, when it's not the end. It's just a passing through phase, for our soul. We are not our egos here. We're not. And then babies, oh my gosh, they taught me how to embrace this journey, and that when we resist it, we suffer. And that's whose blanket this one was. My Cleopatra Devi. Oh, yes, that was she. She was the only one who got sick. She got sick right around Christmas. And we had a vet come to the house, and she just looked at me and said, because of what this is, I have seen some of the most bizarre challenges in these babies. So my personal recommendation is to make them comfortable, because I told her I would not torture them through endless tests and that it's about the quality of life, not the quantity. The quality. And I did do what I could, but I created resistant energy because I knew that the four of them couldn't be separated. That was why I knew intuitively that they needed to just stay with me. This was their home. I was their mommy. But I knew from the very beginning that they were a package deal. I couldn't. And I never in my life have I felt this way about a litter of kittens. I mean, growing up on a farm, it was like, who wants a kitten? We just have kittens. Who wants it? But I knew that these four couldn't be separated. And that's why I did fight. I did resist. I force-fed. I put sub-Q fluids under her skin so she would stay hydrated. And I did what I could without realizing that what I was doing was causing her suffering. Because I was fighting what was natural. And so she did. She suffered in the end. And I knew when it was the day. I had this huge kennel. It's like a collapsible kennel that you can actually use for a small dog or your cats outside. And it's big enough that I could crawl into it. And I was able to hold each and every one of them and feel safe with them. And so I moved it out. I set it up in the living room so everybody could participate and see her. And it was challenging. And we had 90 minutes before the vet was going to come to help her along, to help free her soul from the prison it was perceivably trapped in at that point and working so hard to free itself from. And as I cried crocodile tears, singing her song, because I'm telling you, sister, sing them a song. Sing them a song. I did for all four of them. And as long as I was singing their song, there was so much peace. Cleopatra Devi, Mommy loves thee. Cleopatra Devi, yes, you are she. You know, it wasn't a lot, but there's a reason why song permeates all of humanity from the beginning of time. Because it's the song of our soul. It's our soul that sings. I'm so grateful for a box of tissue, let me tell you. So, that said, yes, we had 90 minutes. And all of a sudden, I could just feel this inside me. And she looked up at me, and there was so much pain in her face as my crocodile tears were dripping down on her. And she looked at me, and I finally said, baby, just go. Just go. It's okay. Mommy's going to take care of your brother and your sisters. Everything's going to be fine. Then it wasn't 30 minutes later and she was gone. You see, when we give the soul permission, it'll let go. And then they're no longer suffering. Because when we ask someone to stay, we're doing that for our own selfish reasons. Because I'm here to tell you that they don't go anywhere. They're still here. God, I haven't shared this story in a while. Anyway, so Treya, my little lover boy. Treya is heart spelled backwards. He knows these babies. And he knows when mommy's crying, and he wants to make sure to love on mommy when she's crying. It's okay. Mommy's fine, Trey. Mama's just sharing about the baby loves. Anyway, so it was 30 minutes. The vet still had an hour. So I called and said, never mind, we handled it. I clocked her time of transition, her date of transition, and she talks to me all the time. So it was so perfect that I pull this blanket out having completely, I'm covering up my microphone, having completely forgotten what was on it. And so as I pulled this out the other day to set up my little crystal ball here, I went, oh my God. It's like Pegasus with invisible wings. I know they're horses, but that's what a Pegasus is a horse with wings, okay? So there's a sign right there. So I knew that part of this had to be in there. And then because my little munchkin love, I was her blankie. I was her blankie all the time. I have the sweetest video of recording her, and you hear her suckling on my jammies or whatever t-shirt I was wearing that day. It had to be certain fabric, of course. And if I didn't wear something right, she let me know. This is unacceptable, mommy. I cannot suckle on this. So the two middle children, because I know with every ounce of my being that they left the world the same way they entered it, which would be Cleo, Theo, Neja, and RJ. And so they left the world the same way they came in. I just know this intuitively. There's no doubt in my mind. So my little fire boy. Oh, my Theodore Maxwell, my little dude. That's what I called him. He was my dude. I have so many pictures of him where he's just like a dude. He's laying on his back. He's got his legs all sprawled. And he's like, yeah, I'm a dude. Like, almost made me think a lot of Al from Married with Children, sticking his hands down his pants kind of thing. Like, he just had this dude, But he was such a mama's boy. Of course he was. And him and his sister, Neja, my Nene, she was my little monk baby. She was my earth baby. Theodore was my fire. Cleopatra was my heart. She was the life force. And that is why I knew the others were going to go. And sure enough, I tell you, sister, Theo, Neja, and RJ, none of them got sick. They just lost their will to live. I mean, I have a video when I was desperate because I knew I wasn't going to do the same to them that I had done to Cleopatra. I was going to do it different. She helped me to learn how not to do it. She chose to be the lesson for this mummy. So that her brother and sisters didn't have to experience what she did on her way out. So Theo and Neja, this was what I called their love blankie. It's just a plain pink fleece blankie. Wow. Whew. It was always beside me on the couch. And Neja, my Nene, she would come over and she would rub in it. And she'd make her kitty biscuits and she would just rub and she would drool. She would just drool all over the blankie. So much love in the love blankie. And then Theodore, he would park right next to her. And he'd be making his kitty biscuits, but he would actually suck on it. He would get a big old wad of this fleece in his mouth. And If I'd be like, you want some num-nums or you want something, he would sit up and he'd be all like, huh, with a big old wad in his mouth. Like he's drunk because of all of the good vibes, the good energy that releases, right? I can't even think of it right now. The word serotonin, melatonin, whatever cats produce, right? When they're in that the love chemical. Let's just stick it with that, okay? The love chemical. He would be so drunk off of that, he'd sit up and kind of look at me all like, what, mommy? What? You know, with the big wad in his mouth. So this blankie is a very, very special blankie, if you can tell too. The love blankie. So this is the first time I've done anything to it. So I literally wanted to have both as a part of this. And now, because I intend to work more with this as I enhance, amplify, and hone my own intuitive psychic gifts, because, they're there. I just have not actually been making them so publicly known, as it's literally more of me honing them and amplifying them a bit more before I fully offer them. But the intuitive gifts, that's there. That definitely. But my more deeper psychic level, yeah. And just to have this amplifier, like right now, like, there's just energy, just and it's literally straight to my heart chakra right here, my solar plexus, especially my heart chakra right here. Because these were my FELV Brat Pack, my FELV baby loves. That's what I called them, baby loves. The love blankie. Everything about this is love. And so that is why when I created this little space in here, the bottom blanket is the pink fleece, the love blankie itself, and then the 3 around the rim are little pieces that I clipped off the ends. So I did minimal alterations to the blankie. And now here we have my most sacred little crystal ball. So that said, dear goddess, that's the story of my crystal ball. And my 4 guides. Who came through my life so quickly, so profoundly, as 4 kittens that lived to be 9 and 10 months old. And changed my life so profoundly. They put me on this path to empowerment experiences. They put me on this path to helping teach you how to receive your loved ones from the other side. The most fundamental. It's like receive your loved ones 101. I never would have imagined, right? But everything that you go through is for you to grow through. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you've asked for. And even though maybe sometimes we don't realize what we've asked for and we're kind of going, what the fuck? This is excruciating. You'll find out. Just trust. And enjoy the journey. Because you never know. And so I'm going to end this video with the most beautiful quote inspired by these precious babies. Again, Cleopatra Devi, or Devi means divine. Cleopatra Devi, oh yes, that was she. Theodore Maxwell, Neja, Monet, my little monk baby, and my little RJ, Rascal, Jasper, aka my munchkin love. They taught me this. Only the width of a lifetime can know bounds. Meaning only the width of your life gets measured. Only the width of your life has a beginning and an end. But the depth of a life, how deep you live along that way in that time you do have, the depth of a life is boundless. The only limit to how deep you live or how high you climb is the limit you create for yourself. And you, dear goddess, are a limitless being. This temporary experience is not but a fraction of who and what you truly are. So, open yourself up. Open yourself up, because I promise you the world needs you cracked open. Right now, you have just witnessed me cry my eyes out as I shared with you some of the most amazing times of my life, because they were. I tell you, sister, when I shifted that from Cleopatra to Theo, Neja, and RJ, because Theo, it was 3 weeks later, I was starting to tell you that I was desperate about the call, about getting him to eat something, because they became uninterested in life at that point. And I put a piece of bacon. This was pre-vegetarian days. I put a piece of bacon in front of him because he was so depressed. Like he was depressed, and it didn't matter how much I loved him or what I did for him. Cleopatra she wasn't here in physical form anymore, and it didn't work. So I put a piece of bacon in front of him. Please eat something for mommy, something. And as he kept his head hung, he literally, sister, I tell you, he reached his paw and he just put it on the piece of bacon, was just like, thanks. And then he just put his head back down, and it was so heartbreaking. But at the same time, I couldn't have loved him more. I couldn't have loved any of them more than what I did. Ooh. Cleopatra transitioned on January 14th, which was the same day I stepped foot in India. 2 years later, she inspired that. She led me there. Theodore Maxwell transitioned at 1:14 p.m. on February 3rd. Neja Monet on February 8th at 4:54 a.m. and my little munchkin love on February 9th at 5:55 a.m. Oh, babies. And I tell you, sister, Theodore was very easeful, but Neja and RJ, it was so peaceful. The only perceived discomfort that Neja displayed was in the last 24 hours, her breathing increased. She started double timing. But bless her heart, bless all of them, as long as I sang each of their songs to them, they were calm. They were calm. And as long as I embraced it and I loved them through it, my little munchkin, She was making kitty biscuits right up until the end. Because I surrendered. I embraced this journey, and because of that, I have beautiful memories of their transition, and Cleopatra's was painful. We are the catalyst, Goddess. You are the catalyst, and I am the catalyst in our experience. We choose the meaning. We choose the kind of experience that we're going to have by how we show up to it, by what we choose to believe about it. If you believe death is a bad thing, then it's going to be a bad and excruciating thing for you. But if you can reframe that and embrace it and allow them to speak to you, whether it's feline, canine, or human, they will. They will. That said, dear Goddess, I'm going to sign off, let you go. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you for sharing this with me. And like I said, fingers crossed that I was able to get this worked out to where I could throw a picture in here for you on the video. I know I can on the computer version of iMovie, but like I said, you get like this much amenities with the app as you do the software on the computer. Like, you could do so much. I digress. That said, dear Goddess, go create amazing. Choose the meaning. Choose the experience that you want to have and how you want to experience it here. You have the power. Claim that shit. I'll see you in the next one. Remember, the power is and always has been inside you. So it's in your hands. Namaste.